Greetings, beloved, and welcome to The Art of, a series of podcasts dedicated to exploring what goes into doing creative and spiritual work with excellence. I'm your host, Reverend Linda Furtado, Director of Spirituality and Arts at Scarritt Bennett Center in Nashville, Tennessee. And in this episode, we are embedding you into a community experience of the open mic at Poets Corner on our campus with 8 different artists, each performing one or two of their original works, including 2 special moments you won't want to miss, from singing to a testimonial period where you get to hear from the artists directly. I'm confident that the diversity of voices, from 18-year-old Hannah at her very first poetry reading to seasoned inaugural poet laureate of Hendersonville, Tennessee, Henry Jones in the house. This experience will leave you refreshed, inspired, and even laughing with joy along the way. So let's get started with our live recorded Poets Corner right now. Greetings, beloveds, and welcome to Scarritt Bennett Center. I'm Reverend Linda Furtado, and I direct spirituality and arts programming here at Scarritt Bennett. And if you don't know anything about us, allow me to share our mission statement, which is to create space where individuals and groups engage each other to achieve a more just world. And so we do this in a multitude of ways, trying to make sure we reach our aims of creating space in light of women's empowerment, transformative education, spiritual formation, and racial justice. To get us started, Franchessa, I don't know what your time is like this evening, but I know it is a gift in many ways for you to be here with us. And just in case you got to run for wellness and care and love of self, share some love with us this evening. Come on down.
I'm Franchessa Kirkpatrick, and grew up here in Nashville, Tennessee. Very proud to have learned from many teachers and many respectful people here tonight. Are part of my wonderful care team, I guess you could say, in the world, because that's what we all need, is people that we love and care about, that support us and bring us happiness, whether or not we're well, and when we are out there in the world and looking to have people to support our ideals and the grace around us through the presence that we bring. I Love Places in People's Faces book that I'm going to read from tonight. My first poem in that book always brings me great joy because I love California, and this is called Redwoods. Redwoods. I love those redwoods out in California. They make me feel so small, like giants in the forest, towering over me. Redwood trees give me a dose of courage. Hold my smile, and I walk through those huge roots that once sunk deep into the earth, all around me. Trees surround me, others wave to the sky. I can hardly see the sun. The rays shining, lines highlighted, pine cones, twisting, shaping a path where I walk. Even though I feel so small, I have a peaceful feeling among those redwoods. This is where I love to spend my time. In a nearby town, people have carved a whole tree into a church. Me, I like to leave them free to grow. Sometimes I perform as a cat. And my story behind that is I went to Greece back in 2008, and I asked the oracle the age-old question, who am I really? So this came from this poem called The Oracle Told Me. The oracle told me, Delphi, Greece, on top of a mountain, is where the mythical oracle lives. I asked the oracle the age-old question, who am I really? I look down and I see a cat. It leaps up into my arms. It purrs and it nuzzles against me and it smiles up at me. And then I know what I must do. Take care of cats, meow, meow, and show the world love. So I'm here tonight to show you guys the same thing and give you a piece of what kind of love it is to see the love in people's faces and the places that I've been. Thank you so very much. Franchessa Kirkpatrick.
Amen. Thank you so much, Franchessa. All right, we've got a dynamic duo coming on that's going to I'm going to have you back to back. So first up, Jason. Chase, come on around. Come on up. As he comes forward, let me invite you to pay attention in that this gentleman is going to be our featured poet. Do you remember which month?
May.
In May. So come back in person or check out the episode coming up for May. Awesome. And I'm going to let him introduce himself and his beloved daughter that's here tonight as well to share some words. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Can I borrow your glasses, Stewart?
Yeah.
That's okay. Wow. I'm not quite to two. By a hair. I'm Jason Tomlinson. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. Mr. Henry, I get to meet you in person at last. We'll do that in a moment. This is the first copy of my brand new book. It just came in the mail this week. It's very exciting. So I'm going to read two pieces and then I will introduce my daughter to you. This is called Connection. Young me loves present me, and future me does too. The first one sends hope. The second sends perseverance to get through. I send young me honor because I know he turns out okay. I send future me gratitude, the source of my strength every day. There was a time I sent younger me shame, a time I pinned on him guilt and blame, but now I recognize the folly of such a course. Young me frequently unplugged from the source, and shame on top of indiscretion is a deadly combination. So I choose to learn instead, and that yields emancipation. Also, my relationship concerning future me was once the source of worry and much anxiety. What's he gonna be like? Is he gonna be all right? Is he gonna be able to leave the darkness and instead walk in the light? But that's just as useless as anything I can surely say. The gratitude is my gift to the future me, the gift that bridges the day. Connection with what was and what is and what will be. Wholeness and health. This is key. And the second one I want to share with you right now is called She and He. And this is about my daughter and myself. She is a wonder, second to none. A bright light for sure, clever and fun, inspiring and curious with ferocity in her soul, vibrant and evolving, alive and whole. He is a fortress, a pillar of strength, a home for identity with breadth and length, hilarious and light and strong for days, wholly unique, empowered in his ways. She carries the past into the present and unknown. She has fruit now and even more to seed, and even more to seed, and even more seed to be sown. With broken glass fallen down from the shattered ceiling, her arms flexed for fighting, her heart prepared for healing. He instills beauty, value, and worth beyond compare. He rises to empower and to speak into and declare that nothing can stop her, no challenge, no quest. A massive, mighty force for good, indeed the best. She is the apple of his eye, his rare and costly pearl. She is his daughter, his precious little girl. He is her standard, her start, and she is more than glad to have him as her father. He is her dad. Thank you. And I'm very excited. My debut for live poetry on the mic was actually in Nashville, Tennessee, almost 30 years ago at the Owl's Nest, which has been Michelangelo's Pizza for a couple of decades now, but it wasn't always Michelangelo's Pizza. But tonight, you guys get to be a part of Tennessee history, I suppose, as I welcome Hannah Tomlinson to the mic.
All right. Hey, guys. All right, so I'm not published yet. That's a key word, y'all. Yet. I will be. Mark my words. So this poem I wrote almost over a year ago, guys. So this is Peace in the Pain. Hurt is a part of life, and we all feel different kinds of strife. But if there's one thing we know to be true, it's that when we feel like we don't have a clue, we can count on others to guide us on. Together, not alone, makes us strong. So when we doubt our hearts can make it, we can call on the friends who we know won't break it. And the second one I would like to share with you in this instance, oh, what do you know, I'd flip right to it. I wrote this last week. This is Dawn and Dusk. One is a new hope, the other a closing day. We don't have any time to grope, lest we let it get away. We pay most attention to what we feel, nowhere near enough to what we need, sometimes causing us to long to steal when all we need to do is lead. These truths are hard to hear, I know, but if we listen close, we can finally start to grow and see what matters most. I just want to thank y'all for being a part of this moment with me. This is very, very exciting and something I hope to continue far into the future.
Yay for making history. Okay. Stewart, you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, introduce yourself, my friend.
Thank you. All right. My name is Stewart Redpath. You can probably tell I'm not originally from around here. The first poem I'm going to read you tonight is one of a selection I published this year. It's called Not Good with Words, is how I choose to say it. Available on the mighty Amazon. And the first one is called Running into Trouble, Writing You a Poem. The second one, we'll get to that in a moment, is likely to get me cancelled, at least with the possibility of being a featured poet in the future. It's as irreverent as Linda is reverent, but we'll get to that in a moment. That's just to whet your appetite a little. This one is called Running into Trouble, Writing You a Poem. The adjectives were the first to fall, victims to their own weight. No sentimental branch thick enough to bear the burden of beautiful or lovely, much less astonishing or enchanting. What once gave life to essays and compositions now spells death to my love song. Then the metaphors caught a cold from which they've not recovered. Shall I compare you to a simile? It is all spoken for better or worse, and as we are reminded, all the good ones are taken. Finally, the power verbs, those engines of poetic libido, ran out of juice like Boxing Day batteries, so that cherish and adore will scarcely lift a greeting card or a summer novel. And so, I stand before you shyly with a handful of pre-owned words, wilted roadside daisies, all diesel-stained and dry, wanting you to be warmed by this inadequate shower. Thank you. The other one, I tell people that it took me 63 years to publish my poetry that's written over 50 years. So my next volume should be out in 2088. But I've been writing a lot since I published this. Publishing has been a fuel for me. It's made me want to write more. So this one here, let me give a word of background. We're all poets here. There's a classic poetry form which is called, I'll be careful how I say it initially, Ars Poetica, A-R-S Poetica. It's a classic instruction on how you should write poetry, which was written by Horace, a Roman poet in, I think, BC 23. And he wrote Ars Poetica, the art of poetry. And since then, there have been many other people who've written on the subjects of poetry and many poems called Ars Poetica. My poem, because as my wife says, I haven't grown much older than 12, is called Ars Poetica. Like I say, could get me cancelled. You like the first word too. Here we go, Ars Poetica. Cleavage. Is that the joining point or the place we split? You tell me. My dad and I bonded over sports. We had other breaks, differing takes, but our commentaries were curated by experts on TV and the back pages, and agreement was an open runway. Original thought or emotions would only have complicated matters. It's different with daughters. The girls and I like to play the slots. We send one another pictures of outstanding butt cracks that emerge from below and threaten to swallow us whole. We record with care, and then we share all the southern meridians, the plumber's cracks, the lunar divides, and the bicycle racks. Big men, big women, often caught at half-mast, usually trapped in a moment of bending or sitting or rising, and most often before feeling a cool breeze along the Khyber Pass. This happens more than you might imagine at airports, beaches, and gas stations all around. Like poetry, the more you scan, the more you see. Time out. Before you stoop to join, please consider that even a spectator sport contains elements of risk, and people may not be delighted to find you charting their intergluteal clefts. Ask me how I know. But if I may start a sentence with a but, it appears that this venture keeps our love alive. It's been said that we are born looking for someone looking for us. Not all our subjects would agree. For me, my girls, this cleavage is a joining point. These bared butts bear easy agreement. And what can I say? We found our groove.
Thank you so much.
Oh, this is some joy going on today, y'all. All right, so I know we have, that was trying to sign up and it didn't go through, but I know he's ready for us. Janhoi, you coming down? All right, come on, introduce yourself and the work you're going to share with us today.
Hi, my name is Janhoi Chambers. You can find me on social media, Instagram at Surgical Peace, P-E-A-C-E, or email me at surgicalpeace@gmail.com. I'll get right into it. This first poem is called God is a Woman. What if God is a woman? That would make us all God's children. As a child of God, first we were conceptualized, then conceived in amniotic fluid, a 9-month baptism inside of an internal sea, guided by angels, the drumming of Mother God's heartbeat. Mama sent manna down from a cloud through a cord, from heaven to the embryo, perfect food for all God's people. God knows every hair on our body, giving every cell a purpose a blueprint. Writing every code in the genome, passing on her mark in the mitochondrial DNA. Forever sealing the Eve gene, God's gene. Woman to woman, God to God, wisdom to wisdom. She is our eternal creator. We are held in her darkness, nurtured in her darkness, fed in her darkness, preserved in her darkness. God takes life when the water breaks and gives life when the baptism is completed. Like Moses, we are pushed down a canal to a new life, taking our first breath, seeing our first light, coming face to face with God. In her eyes, we see God. On her breast, we are fed. She is our healer, our teacher, and our guide. Over and over again, like in the beginning, God said, "Let us make man in our image." From her reflection came an Adam that became Adam. Then God sent a God from the darkness of a deep sleep and came Eve, a woman, a God to help man conceive all of his dreams. Adam is inspiration, Eve is actualization. Over and over again, heaven sent God to make manifest her queendom, his kingdom, their will, and free will. Now it makes sense that God is a jealous God and God is a loving God. And I've always known that God, woman, man, and child can do all things. Touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. Thank you. So this next poem, this is my first trigger warning poem, but this is a trigger warning. Talks about death, surgery, and so if everyone's okay with that, I'll proceed. All right. So my background as a profession, I'm a surgical assistant. I've been doing that for about 15 years. That's what brought me here to Nashville. And upon coming to Scarritt Bennett, my poetry juices have completely sprouted. So I'm very grateful for this space. This next poem is called No Applause in Surgery. As a surgical assistant, I am there with the patient, skin to skin. This is always a serious case, never a race to win. Doing harm is a healer's only sin. Continuous practice is a practitioner's only friend. When it's showtime in the surgical theater, there will never be applause in the end, just a rehearsal of dressings and another case to begin. I'll share with you a sad, pivotal story. One that saved lives, but for her, she was left empty with no glory. This kind of case is called an organ harvest. Taking vital organs from a selfless human for transplant. Saving many lives with this successful implant. I was young, in my early 20s, yet my breath was calm, focused and steady. She was prepped surgically, clean and ready. The first cut was the deepest, sharp and heavy. Clamp, clamp, cut, tie, happened to the tick-tock of time. As hours went by on the clock, her organs came out nonstop. That part wasn't the most heart-moving part for me. It was that she passed from an overdose, a young girl with her whole life ahead of her, and she was taken at the age of 19. Thank you.
All right. Now we're about the business of making new friends and inviting new faces to this space. And I hear, Brian, you might have some works maybe? Well, come on down, introduce yourself. Share some love with the body.
Good evening. My name is Brian Dwayne, and I'm here because Jason invited me to come here. Me and Jason met a few months ago. He took a job at a middle school, and I was covering his interim in the English class that he's teaching now. So we've spent some time together since then, and I think keep finding out things that we have in common and that we enjoy with each other. So we'll see how far this relationship gets, but it's off to a good start. So Jason invited me to come listen to him speak, and then asked me if I wanted to say something, and I decided to do that. So by training, I'm a visual artist, but I'm going to say some stuff. So I've got two poems I'd like to share. This first one I prepared from another work for this evening, and it's the first time I've presented it. I think I'll title it Ally and Friend. Ally and Friend. It. What is it? It lurks in the shadows. It lurks in the shadows until it can strut about in broad daylight. Have you seen it? I said it lurks in the shadows until it can strut about in broad daylight. Do you feel it? What does it want? What does it want? Well, it wants what it wants, and it wants to manufacture consent in us. For the want that it wants, it wants to manufacture consent in us. It wants to carry out certain assaults against us. It wants to punish people, to cut them to the core. It wants to cage their confidence, to gun them down with grief, to bomb them with unbearable burdens, to carry out certain assaults against us, to punish people, to cut them to the core, to cage their confidence, gun them down with grief, to bomb their very being with unbearable, barbarous burdens. But before it does any of this, it wants to manufacture consent in us. Yes, in you. It wants to recruit your cooperation. It wants to manufacture consent. It must, to complete its plan. It will use your hand to pull the trigger. This is why it loves to remind you of their faults, loves to demonize them, to deport your adoration, to kill your compassion, to eradicate your empathy, to assassinate your solidarity. It loves to remind you of their faults, to demonize them, to deport your adoration, to kill your compassion, to eradicate your empathy, to assassinate your solidarity. It loves to remind you of their faults, to deport your adoration, to remind you of their faults, to eradicate your empathy, reminds you of their faults, to kill your compassion, to remind you of their faults, to assassinate your solidarity, reminding you of their faults. For once humanity has made enemies of one another. I said, once we have made enemies of each other, then it will strut about with us in broad daylight. Yes, hand in hand, as ally and friend. It. Do you feel it? Lurking in the shadows until it can strut about with us in broad daylight. Have you seen it? No longer in the shadows, strutting about with us in broad daylight. The second poem I'd like to share is from a collection from a book that I published for my kids. And I'll show you. Each one has an illustration, so I'll hold up the illustration while I read this one. I think when I've had to title this particular one, I've called it, Who is That Young Man? The road to Jerusalem steady he walked. With a crowd of his followers, their steps were in lock. They brought out a donkey for him to sit on and covered the way with their clothes and palm fronds. The closer they came, the louder they got. They shouted, "Hosanna, our Savior, God brought. The Son of King David has come. He's our lot." The sound of the ruckus exploded when he rode in through the gates. The majestic city filled up with their cry, "Who is that young man, the prophet of God from the Galilee land?" He rode to the temple dismounted and entered with zeal in his spirit. The tables he splintered, money he scattered, the livestock he chased. With whip still in hand, all regarded his face. It's written, the house of our God it will be, a house set for prayer. It's no den for thieves. Then there in the temple he sat, and they came. They brought him their blind and their deaf and their lame, while little kids continued shouting his name. Hosanna, the Son of David, always. Thanks.
I feel like it's just getting good. I'm making sure we don't go over time. I do want to say we're actually doing really good. So we have some opportunity here. I already know you got some things. Come on up here, Henry. You come prepared no matter where you go. So please introduce yourself and share a couple of works with us.
Okay. Henry Jones, artist and a writer, and or I should say a juggler, because that's what I tell people I find myself doing. I am so happy to see so many faces of poet friends, new ones, old ones. And Stewart, he came to an open mic that I hosted, and I was just floored because our families have known each other for years. And I don't know when he told me he was a poet, but that afternoon in his house, I just kept reading and reading and reading. And then when he came to the open mic, I was excited. And then when I heard about his book, I was even more excited. And I'm not going to tell you the length of time because that will age us, but many moons. And everything happens at the right time. No matter what we think we want to achieve or try to do, everything has its time. This first poem is titled Becoming More or Less. The playful gathering of dancing fingers running wild like children stumping through a field of wildflowers who become lost now searching for their way back home through a portal flipping through pages of a colorful storybook where fascination explodes with a drizzle of colors. They chase the shadows of friends playing hide and seek, silhouettes reaching for life in its dimensions, hoping perhaps to find each other within themselves. Then looking between blades of grass and under rocks, young minds filled with wonder and imagination, to the twisted realm where Alice plays with the caterpillar, sipping on tea, enjoying the trembling of being frightened. She awakens something inside her that others fear, afraid to connect and become the flow to the center, churning the old cream of joy to a froth of truth, made into a frosting to coat the layers of sweet lies of the earth where old bones await ascension by the pile, becomes nothing but kindling to make flames rise. No one finds their remains regardless of the watery eyes or how the bellows of grief echo through the waves. The hope is to dance, to try to forget, or perhaps remember. Nothing is easy to release the damned emotions. Alice transmuted into goddess, part water, earth, and pain. She listens to the magical words and ancient songs in the air, her ears patiently open, and feels deeply to the gentle winds. Nearby sycamore roots grab her legs to still her. Stars bent by time, she runs between the doorways to quickly hide. This isn't the moon she knows, but a garden full of promise. She twirls the new sun's flames, reaching inside ourselves, a plot. Planting seeds while teaching us to extend our minds and hopes. Showing us to play with fire to become and see more. We trace along the ashes, smeltering high towers of steel, hoping to reach her, and in many ways to become like her. Science and creation reaching to the sky's strong, long arms, wanting to embrace and retrace paths of palaces she flew to us. We only wanted to feel whole again for just one moment. No longer memories of the abandoned lover seeking the familiar. Touches and smiles without anger and bitterness from the past, while sadness drapes us, waiting to just understand why love wasn't plentiful enough to fill the emptiness. This hunger lingers, consuming the reach of old passions, building atop unhealed wounds covered with expired balm, soothing nothing as blistering hatred nuggets add to hardness, only truly desiring to feel strong and unbreakable again. Lock the pain in our sacred space where we'd forget everything. The shuffled red petals fall like cowrie shell prophecy, ascribing words to know how foolish is our foolish nature, as we rested in a field where wildflowers surrounded us, leaving our mountains to let the sun melt away into night, while resting and waiting as the worm still stirs honey, sweetening our flesh to eat before his emergent flight, pouring the overbrewed tea back into the rivers, streams around and inside us, pushing the edges of shores, which helps us constant thirst to build come to an end. Lego clusters we hope we won't tumble and crush our dreams. Peaked houses nothing but tall shadows of ourselves, built atop the graves of brittle marrow and dry blood, which cause so much pain, but wanting now only joy, as we still hope to understand our purpose from the high, looking at the clouds floating near the penthouse rooftop. Smoking clouds, the worm ponders in his high-backed chair, while Alice laughs at our toys, knowing with just one blow, we tumble down the flights of our fantasy to be gods. She gave us the dreams and memories, but we shut our eyes as the story's pages turn, showing us ways to build within. Because that's long, I'm going to stop here. Thank you.
Beautiful. Much love and respect. So to offer a couple of words, I feel like I haven't written anything fresh in a while, but y'all are some fresh faces, except for maybe Henry and Michael, to some of what I've done. So I'm going to offer a couple. They're technically both song lyrics. I'll sing one of them. But one of them I was inspired and reminded by because of your work, Brian, and yours, Janhoi, actually. So I was like, ooh, I got to share that one. And I don't think I ever wrote a title for this, but here are some of the words. I know the Father, the Son, the Creator, the One. Yes, God, Holy Spirit, Holy Jesus, our Redeemer, Lover, and Savior. I know the Mother of Man, the Giver of land. Yes, God is the Alpha and Omega, perfect Creator. Ooh, His name is Wonderful. Ooh, Wonderful Counselor. I am abundantly blessed. I ask, she gives me no less. Divine, holy, makes ways out of no ways, deserving of all our praise. And I'll leave it right there. The other one is called I Am Woven. And I'll say the words first, just get a few of them out there. And I think I'll sing that one. I am woven, woven through the earth, woven through your veins, woven through the sun, the one who bore our pains, woven through existence in minds and sweet remembrance in future and in an instant. I am never distant. I am peace. When feelings overwhelm you and disappointments tell you that you are less in value, I am hope. When all you know is sadness and talking makes you nervous and your mind does you a disservice, I am trust. I never leave you wanting. I satisfy your longing. I carry you beyond your limits onward to a new existence. I am woven. Woven through the earth, woven through your veins, woven through the sun, the one who bore our pains, woven through existence, in minds and sweet remembrance, in future and in an instant. I am never distant. Man. I'm feeling a little churchy tonight. If you don't know anything about the season, Holy Saturday, we are probably most familiar with Good Friday, the story of Jesus on the cross. I got a whole nother thing on that one I might do to close this out since it's that season. But when Jesus dies on the cross, there's Saturday, then the risen Lord, Easter Sunday. There's this whole day in the middle, y'all, that is a time of lament and grief. And so we sit in it. And one of the songs that I sit in it within is this I Am song. And so here it is with a little music. No piano, but that's okay. I am woven, woven through the earth, woven through your veins, woven through the sun, the one who bore our pain, woven through existence in minds and sweet remembrance, in future and in an instant. I am never distant. I am peace. When feelings overwhelm you and disappointments tell you that you are less in value, I am hope. When all you know is sadness and talking makes you nervous and your mind does you a disservice, I woven through your veins, woven through the sun, the one who bore our pain, woven through existence, in minds and sweet remembrance, in future and in an instant. I am trust. I never leave you wanting. I satisfy your longing. I carry you beyond your limits, onward to a new existence. I am woven through the earth. I am woven through your veins. I am woven through the sun, the one who bore our pain, woven through existence, in minds and sweet remembrance, in future and in an instant. I am woven through the earth and woven through your veins. I am woven through the sun, the one who bore our pain, woven through existence, in minds and sweet remembrance, in future and in an instant. I am never distant. I am the great I am. Amen. Awesome. So, for our last bit of time together, I invite Amy and everybody to offer a word, whether an actual little single word or a phrase or a brief sharing of a reason why you write, why you're here, why poetry is important, or why you love Scarritt Bennett Center. It's up to you. It's testimony time, all right? And we'll close it with that. And I thank everyone for coming tonight. As we share all of those whys, please don't forget to join our online writers community. Consider it a communication network, a way for us to share the love with one another about what we're doing, what we're writing, what we're selling. Hello, book writers, so that we can support one another. And I mean, come on, chances are you'll find some people in this community that will help you read your work and get that thing published, my girl. Come on now, so that you can get a book out there in the world. So let us join together in community in this very intentional way if you want to sign up. All right, so testimonies. Line up, come on up. I want to hear them. The world wants to hear them. Share them with the body, and we'll call it done.
I'm Franchessa Kirkpatrick. I can say that I have been over this about why I write. It's not just about using your voice, but it's about touching other people with the stories and the poems and things that come through you from who knows where. You're just kind of there in the moment when you're blessed, when you're so blessed. And the words, sometimes you don't even believe that they're coming from you because of the power and the glory that it brings to others, into our community. So thank you so much for everyone that writes and uses your words and gives us the strength to stand or to just be wherever we are, in words together. Blessings. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Janhoi Chambers, and I'm not going to share this poem that I wrote, but there's some lines that answer this request. And the first lines, the poem is called Writing Poetry, and the first few lines says, "I don't force writing, poetry writes. I'm more like an eye with sight or an ear that listens, like a student who pays attention to the teacher of intuition." And it goes on. And I just wrote that like 2 days ago. I don't know what it is about Scarritt Bennett, but man, this space has definitely eradicated my writer's block. I've experienced nothing but unity and creativity and peace. The main reason why I write is because I'm in utter awe with this symphony orchestra play that happens here on Earth between us humans and nature. And I just think there's so much more going on beyond the physical, beyond our interactions, what the Most High is doing and has planned. And I'm so interested in what that is. So I kind of write listening and investigating and connecting the dots and things of that nature. And I also do spoken word. And I'll tell you, writing, sharing, listening is one of the most energetic exchanges between humans that I've experienced. So, thank you.
Hey guys, Hannah Tomlinson again. I'm 18 years old. I'm a senior in high school. I'll graduate May 16th. Less than 2 months away. It's like seriously exciting, also a little scary. I plan on attending Tennessee Tech. I want to major in creative writing. Yeah. So I didn't always know why I wrote stories. Since I was a kid, I wrote stories. And for a while, I didn't realize what it held for me until I would say the summer between 8th grade and freshman year of high school, or the beginning of freshman year of high school, in that given time. And that's when I started to realize that God was using me for something I didn't see yet. And I had no idea what that was. I couldn't see it yet. He opened my eyes on a Wednesday night at church. And a few weeks after that, when I was writing, actually, I discovered that passion that God had planted in me, that's what he wanted to use me for. And that is why I write, because it's the passion God gave me, and I think he wants to help me. I think he's going to use my writing to help bring others to him, and that is just so amazingly cool to me, because he's using all of us for something. Us, like, we are so broken, we're so imperfect, and it is amazing to think how much we can do through his power. Again, thank you guys so much for being here tonight and experiencing this with me. This is amazing. You guys are all great, and I can't wait to do this again.
Stewart Redpath again. I'm going to be unoriginal. There's very little I have that is original. Henry David Thoreau has a phrase that is often attributed to him, almost certainly inappropriately attributed to him. But it says that most men live lives of desperation and they go to the grave with the song still in them. Feels like the wrong thing to do. That's why I write. Thank you. Oh, so much talent here today. I just loved so many people's poems. So good. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of it.
That's a question, Henry Jones, that's a question I've asked myself. And through all the faces, all the generations, I write to reach people's minds and hearts, because I think that's, as a storyteller, that is my purpose. And you have a healing force that occurs when you do that. Thank you.
Jason Tomlinson, poet. Thank you. Sitting in therapy recently, discussing with my therapist about kind of stepping out, doing something different, but holding back out of fear. And he said, well, what are you afraid of? I said, well, I feel like maybe nobody would notice, that it wouldn't make a difference. And he said, hang on, that's two different things. I said, well, that is true. So it got me really leaning into the idea that whether anyone notices or not, right, we are making a difference. The title of my new book is Hummingbird in the Rain, and quite literally, it's not a metaphor in this case. I saw a hummingbird in the rain in my backyard a number of years ago and got a picture of it, and I was like, well, that's pretty much one of the coolest things I've ever seen, because it's this tiny hummingbird just doing his job, right? And it's beautiful and it's healthy, right? And he's not doing it to be noticed. He's doing it because he can do nothing else. And yet we all benefit from it. So I think that whether, we're just kind of here pollinating, right? And somebody is able to, smell the fragrance, so to speak, in the here and now, or if it takes, decades or even centuries for the value of it to be realized later on, at some point, it's not a matter of if, but a matter of when, you just throw it out there and surrender the outcome, right? And he takes care of the rest. That's why I write.
Janhoi Chambers. I feel really inspired to share this because it just happened today. To give a really quick backdrop, before coming here to Tennessee, I got into a car accident. It was a T-bone. It was really bad, but by the grace of God, I made it out unscathed. When I got out of my car, I saw the weirdest thing, and it was a bumblebee, like a large one. And I like to study religions and, well, I want to say study, do a little research here and there on different religions and stuff like that. And part of the Native American meaning behind bumblebee, one of them, is it's like communication from your ancestors. And basically like a sign of your protected by your ancestors or whatever the case may be. So I was like, wow, look at this bumblebee. I definitely was unscathed. Boom. So today, I'm walking home from work. I work at Vanderbilt Medical Center. And you guys know Kevin? Yeah. It's so funny. He was out front here, and he's like kneeling down, and he's like clapping at the birds. And I'm like, what? Like, what's going on? And so I asked him, I was like, is there an art to that? Like, are you communicating? He was like, well, there was sound before. Sound was the first thing before anything created on Earth. And I was like, dang, brother, that's profound, And then I started thinking, and I was like, wow, okay, sound, vibration, things of that matter. And then he was like, and I was walking toward my apartment here. He was like, all right, brother, I love you. I was like, dang, I love you too, And then so I left him, and on the ground, there's the biggest bumblebee on the ground. And I'm just like, okay, I know it's season, but these connections I just can't ignore. And my grandfather, that, again, another auspicious communication led me to go see him for the first time in my life before he passed away months later, short months later. And his name was Kenneth. And so I just, in my own kind of way, put these things together. And it was almost like, Kevin was communicating or Kenneth, my grandfather, was communicating through Kevin and the bumblebee and the ancestors. And there's just something that the way God speaks to us through us. So that's what I wanted to share.
All right, now we're on a mission, friends. We're going to keep doing this, Poets Corner at Scarritt Bennett Center. But also we're going to offer some other opportunities. So do sign up for the online community. Yes, some of these, if not all, at some point are going to be on our events calendar. But at least you get an early heads up and maybe some discounted registrations for the paid things. Hello. Including a writer's weekend, which is coming up in October. So if you want some help with what does publishing look like, what kind of publisher should I work with? If you want help with writing practices, getting out of that writer's block, that kind of stuff, this event is really good for that. We had a version of it this past weekend, which was lovely. So if you want to do that and you want to learn more about it, sign up to get a heads up and reminders for our online community. And with that, thank you all for joining us for Poets Corner, and I look forward to having you back again. May you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be at peace. Take good care.